Just because a cruise ship stops at a port doesn't mean it's safe just to get out and go wandering around without a plan. Some cruise ports are safer than others, and some pose a significant risk that you need to be made aware of. According to the U.S. State Department, there are several cruise ports in the Caribbean that are considered dangerous. Many of the most popular cruise ports are among the sketchiest, and you may be surprised at what made the list. Now, we're not saying don't go to these ports, but what we are saying is that you need to plan ahead and take extra precautions when you visit. In this video, we'll go over all those cruise ports that the U.S. Department says are on the more dangerous side and give you some tips on how to stay safe when you are visiting these ports. Hey fellow cruisers, I'm Chris with WanderingHewitts, and today we're going to do a deep dive into these ports, show you which ones to maybe avoid, give you a few tips along the way, and then at the end we're going to talk about things that you could do to avoid any issues if you are in some of these ports. So let's get into it. These are the most dangerous cruise ports in the Caribbean and are not ranked in any specific order. Number 1, Roatan, Honduras. Roatan is located just 40 miles off the mainland of Honduras. Roatan is known for its stunning beaches and scuba diving, making it a very popular spot in the Caribbean and for cruise lines. However, Honduras has one of the highest murder rates in the world. While many of the Bay Islands, such as Roatan, don't have the high crime and murder rate that the mainland does, the U.S. State Department still has it as one of the more dangerous ports to visit, with incidences of thefts, break-ins, assaults, rapes, and murder. The crime rate is particularly high around the Coxon Hole area, and that's where one of the cruise ports is located and serves Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, and Celebrity, and many others. Now, Carnival Cruise Line does have its own private port at Mahogany Bay, and if you've never been there, it's a really nice port. They've got their own beach, they've got shops, they've got all kinds of things to do there, and it's all in a nice secure area. And we do have a video of that located right up here and also down in the description if you'd like to take a look at that. Now, we did sail into Roatan earlier this year, and we had a great time. We booked a private excursion, and we went to see the monkeys and sloths, as well as spent some time at a private resort down on West Bay, and had kind of a little private tour of the island as well. We never felt unsafe at all, but it is something to keep aware of, and the U.S. Department did have that warning about Roatan, so keep that in mind. Number 2, the Bahamas. Now, this one probably caught a lot of people by surprise. As the most visited cruise destination in the Caribbean, with 8 million people visiting last year alone, and 4.5 million of that in Nassau alone, it's an extremely popular cruise port. The popularity doesn't eliminate the risks that are present across the islands. In early 2024, the U.S. State Department did increase its advisory level to a level 2 for the islands of New Providence and Grand Bahama, which is where Nassau and Freeport are located. This change was prompted by a number of gang-related violence, murders, robberies, and other violent crimes. In early 2024, there were even a couple of female passengers aboard the Carnival Elation that booked a private excursion, not through Carnival, to Pirates Cove Resort on Grand Bahama Island. They stated that they were drugged and sexually assaulted by some of the workers there. Some online sources that I checked into stated that anything south of Shirley Street starts to get a little dangerous, and the U.S. State Department agrees, stating that the over-the-hill area of Nassau is plagued with gang-on-gang violence that has resulted in a high homicide rate, particularly affecting the local population. And as you'll also notice, some of the more popular attractions like the Queen's Staircase and Fort Fincastle are also in this general area. On a recent trip to Nassau, Ann and I walked in this area visiting a number of these attractions. Overall, we never felt unsafe, but caution is always a good idea. To enhance safety, the State Department advises against resisting robbery attempts and staying near tourist areas that tend to be safer. These crime concerns are one of the reasons why many of the popular cruise lines are building their own private islands, such as the famous Coco Cay, MSC's Ocean Cay, and Disney's Castaway Cay, among others. Now, if you find this video helpful or informative in any way, please be sure to like and subscribe and click that notification bell so that you could be alerted to all of our new cruise information that we put out every week. Now let's get back to the list. Number 3, Haiti. Haiti is part of the island of Hispaniola and shares it with the Dominican Republic. Millions of cruisers visit Haiti every year, mostly from Royal Caribbean's private Labadee cruise port. Due to how dangerous Haiti has become recently, including murders, civil unrest, and major crime, the U.S. State Department has issued a Level 4 warning, do not travel to Haiti. As a result, Royal Caribbean halted all stops at Labadee in March of 2024. Now, they have recently stated that they will start bringing back cruise stops at Labadee in October of this year. So we'll have to wait and see if that really happens or if they change their mind. Number 4, Belize. Located on the eastern coast of Central America along the Caribbean Sea, it's a popular stop for many cruise ships and welcomed over 900,000 passengers last year. The U.S. State Department has issued a Level 3 warning advisory for Belize, mostly due to Belize City, which is pretty rough. The Level 3 advisory means that travelers should reconsider visiting. The advisory highlights concerns about gang activity, warning U.S. citizens to avoid traveling in this area. Now, this cruise port, like many of the cruise ports, are generally safe. So if you wanted to get off the ship and do a little shopping and so on, maybe grab something to eat, generally it's going to be fine. However, you do not want to venture out of the port area on your own into Belize City. Now, if you do feel like doing an activity in Belize, my suggestion would be to book an excursion. Ann and I booked an excursion through the cruise line on our last visit there, and we went to see the Mayan ruins. And we had a wonderful time. If you'd like to take a look at what that video was about, I'll put a link up here as well as down in the description so you can take a look and see if it's something that might interest you. Now, if you're cruising on Norwegian cruise lines, they do have a private secured port located on a small island called Harvest Cay, and that is completely safe. So just something else to keep in mind if you're cruising on Norwegian. Number 5, Jamaica. Jamaica is a small Caribbean island located just south of Cuba. In 2023, just over 1.2 million cruise passengers visited Jamaica, making it one of the more popular locations of cruise ship itineraries. However, the U.S. State Department has issued a Level 3 travel advisory for Jamaica, recommending that travelers reconsider their plans due to safety concerns. Jamaica has 5 cruise ports, including Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, Falmouth, Port Antonio, and Kingston. While the port areas are generally safe, it's essential to be cautious if you venture away from these areas. It's safer to book excursions through your cruise line rather than going out and exploring independently. Number 6, the Dominican Republic. Yeah, I bet you didn't think this one would make the list either. But just like the Bahamas, the Dominican Republic is currently rated at a Level 2 travel advisory. Exercise increased caution by the U.S. State Department. There are 5 major cruise ports in the Dominican Republic, including Taino Bay and Carnival's Amber Cove, both located on the North Shore in the Puerto Plata area, as well as Santo Domingo, La Romana, and Samana. The country does face many challenges, including high rates of violent crime, drug trafficking, and insufficient control over weapons, alongside a generally weak criminal justice system. However, tourist areas tend to have better law enforcement presence due to the establishment of a tourist police corps. Like many other cruise ports, if you're concerned, you may want to consider taking an excursion. Number 7, Mexico. That's right, Mexico is a favored destination for many cruise itineraries, so it may come as a shock to find out that 2 of the more visited ports, Cozumel and Costa Maya, are on the list as a Level 2 exercise increased precautions, following a reported increase in violence in these areas. This surge in violence, including shootings and assassinations, are linked to rising organized crime and the drug trade. While the violence isn't specifically aimed at U.S. citizens, innocent bystanders have often become victims of these crimes. Number 8, Trinidad and Tobago. Now, Trinidad and Tobago are located just off the coast of Venezuela. About 100,000 cruise passengers visited this country in 2023. The State Department has issued a Level 3 travel advisory for Trinidad and Tobago, recommending that travelers reconsider their visit due to the high crime. Now, this is something to be really careful and concerned about. The advisory highlights the need to exercise increased caution because of threats related to terrorism and kidnapping. Much of the violence is linked to gang activity, and the U.S. government personnel are restricted from traveling to many areas. The State Department also warns that terrorists may target tourist locations with little to no warning. So if you're planning on a cruise to Trinidad and Tobago, it's very important to be informed and vigilant to your surroundings. Number 9, Colombia. Colombia is a South American country with a coastline along the Caribbean. For the 2023 and 2024 season, Colombia is estimated to welcome over 330,000 cruise passengers. The country does have a very long-standing reputation for being dangerous, primarily due to its historical ties to drug trafficking. The State Department currently has Colombia rated as a Level 3 travel advisory, recommending travelers to reconsider their plans. The advisory highlights concerns regarding crime, terrorism, civil unrest, and kidnapping. If you choose to cruise to Colombia, it's crucial to exercise caution and remain vigilant. What can you do when you travel to these ports to be safe? Bear in mind that you don't have to disembark when you get into a cruise port. If your cruise stops at one of these precarious ports of call, you can stay on board. Save those long exploration days for a safer, stress-free Caribbean island, or simply enjoy the less crowded ships. If you do decide to venture out into the port that has a dodgy reputation, here are a few tips. You can always book an excursion through your cruise line. We vetted them out. We know they're insured, we go through the inspections, and we know they're licensed. We have all that in check before we send anyone on a tour, a Royal Caribbean spokesperson said. Be mindful of your surroundings. Don't wear expensive jewelry or flash cash. Stay in populated areas. And travel in a large group. We'll post videos of our experiences at many of these ports in the description down below so that you can get a good idea of what to expect when at some of these ports. And please be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you can be alerted to all of our new cruise information, tips, and tours that we put out every week. And maybe we'll see you on one of our next cruises as we wander the world. Thanks for watching.